Rudy Giuliani's business associate, Lev Parnas, who is facing serious federal charges for illegal campaign contributions to Donald Trump, is sharing more information with impeachment investigators in regard to conversations he had with Donald Trump in regard to Ukraine. So according to the Washington Post, which broke this story, Parnas has told associates that he and his associate, Igor Fruman, told Trump at a 2018 dinner in his Washington hotel that then-U.S. ambassador to Ukraine Marie Yovanovitch was hostile to his interests. Now this is super relevant because as we know, Marie Yovanovitch was fired by Donald Trump, and Yovanovitch felt that she was a target by the Trump administration, and she had asked for the State Department to defend her because she had been an ambassador for a while. She had proven herself. She really didn't understand what was going on or why they were targeting her. The State Department refused to back her up. And then later, Gordon Sondland essentially told her, well, if you want to keep your job, maybe you should say some nice things about Trump via Twitter. And she refused to do that. And then later, she was let go. Now, Parnas is shedding more light into the influencing factors behind her firing. Parnas said Trump responded by suggesting Yovanovitch should be fired, and that's according to the Post reporting, citing people familiar with his account. Trump had claimed that he didn't even know Parnas, right? That's something that he's been saying to the media over and over again. In fact, he said he didn't know Parnas or Igor Fruman following their indictment. In fact, here's a quote. He said, "It's possible I have a picture with them because I have a picture with everybody. I don't know what they do, but I don't know. Maybe they were clients of Rudy, except you had conversations with them during dinners for your super PAC fundraising events."
Yeah. Oh, Donald Trump telling a lie. Whew, that's got to be a new one. So this is obviously damaging because these are the guys who are involved not only with the Ukraine story and wanting to investigate Biden, et cetera, and so connected to the whole impeachment hearings, but also arrested for possibly working with a foreign government. And so what government were they working with? And then does that mean that Trump was having dinner with agents of a foreign government and then promising them deals? And then he did actually fire her. He fired the ambassador just like they wanted. So, I mean, super damning.
Yep.
And maybe it takes a peach to beat an orange. One of you guys tweeted in yesterday that Parnas looks like a sad peach. Okay. Some truth to that.
Our audience is always on point. All right, well, it's not just Parnas who's shedding light on Donald Trump's conversations and his relationship with Parnas. In fact, there is an unnamed senior administration official who also spoke to the Post. And this individual said, quote, "It's just not true that he had no idea who these guys were. He knew Lev particularly."
Yeah.
Drums. And then also it turns out that Trump was trying to get the former Ukrainian president to dig up dirt on his political rival as well. So even before Vladimir Zelensky was elected, he was actually having conversations with Poroshenko about digging up dirt on his political rivals. Let me give you the details on that. Parnas and Fruman met with then Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko in February, according to Parnas's lawyer, Edward McMahon Jr., who said they met at the request of Giuliani, who was in turn acting on Trump's orders. So again, even according to what Lev Parnas and his lawyer are saying, Trump was already trying to dig up dirt on the Bidens by working with Poroshenko. So, I mean, look, it's so clear what his intentions were. It wasn't about rooting out corruption. It wasn't about doing the right thing and making sure that, military aid didn't end up in the wrong hands. It was all about digging dirt, not for the benefit of the United States, but for the benefit of Donald Trump and his own political campaign.
I'm worried about the corruption in the previous regime, who I also was trying to influence earlier and work with. And in both regimes, there was one unifying thing that I was really worried about: the Bidens. They're causing most of the corruption in Ukraine.
Really? The Bidens are the ones causing most of the corruption in Ukraine. All right, of course, none of this it holds together. It's not logical. Of course, his story is contradicted by others. And of course, he was conspiring with criminals. All of these things continue to be true. If you remember when that story first broke and Trump said that quote that Anna read you about, I might have had a picture with them, but I don't know them. I told you on the show, it's like, oh man, that means he knew them really, really well. Because if he thinks that they didn't have a picture together, they didn't know, but oh, I never met the guy, I don't know him at all. What was that name again? Was it Parnas? Igor, never heard of an Igor, right? And
he always does this, by the way.
Right,
yeah.
But when he really knows them well, he's like, there might be a picture. But I got pictures with everybody, right? So I mean, maybe there's a picture of me eating dinner with him, and then we do a deal, and then I fire the ambassador on his behalf or the government that he's working for, and then he helps me investigate my political opponent. There might be a picture of that, but other than that, I don't know him. I don't know him at all.
So I have a damning quote from Parnas' attorney, and I might be burying the lead here. So here is what, and this is a direct quote from Parnas' lawyer. There isn't anything that Parnas did in the Ukraine relative to the Bidens or the 2016 election that he wasn't asked to do by Giuliani. Now that's Donald Trump's personal lawyer, who was acting on the direction of the president. Okay, so let's pause for a second. So let's say we believe Trump, which we don't, right? But let's say we believe that he's actually trying to root out corruption in Ukraine, right?
Sorry.
And that is his foreign policy, right? His foreign policy is to make sure, which by the way, if you really do care about rooting out corruption in Ukraine, why would you fire the ambassador who had been working on actually rooting out corruption in Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch? Okay, so we don't believe you, but let's say we did. Why are you getting your personal lawyer involved in that, right? That doesn't make any sense. That is not how foreign policy works. You have actual White House officials. You have actual ambassadors who are supposed to focus on this anti-corruption policy. And instead of working with them, you decide you're gonna fire some of them and then get your personal attorney involved.
So Anna for the win, that's such a great point, because let's say I'm president, fun idea. And I hear from my advisors, oh, Mr. President, we're really worried about corruption in several different places. Paraguay, they're a mess. We're not winning with Paraguay. And Tajikistan, okay? So what would I do? What would you do? Would you go, oh, I'm so glad you told me about the problems in Tajikistan. I'm gonna call my plumber. I'm gonna call my dentist. Oh, I got it, I'll call my lawyer. Why would you call any of those people? Why don't you call your Secretary of State and your ambassadors and your diplomats, et cetera? Why would you get your personal lawyer involved in corruption in Tajikistan? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Right.
Right? The only reason you get your personal lawyer involved is if it's personal and it has to do with you and not official government business. Oops.
And this was something that was also brought up by both US Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, and also George Kent, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State. They said, look, we have the normal channels of dealing with corruption, and the fact of the matter is, with Giuliani involved, there was a shadow foreign policy being carried out. And that foreign policy, again, was not in the best interests of the American people or of this country. It was in the best interests of Donald Trump and his re-election campaign.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna call it here, but this is the easiest call of all time. I shouldn't get any credit for it. Giuliani's gonna get arrested. So part of the reason it's easy, because we already know DA in New York and Justice Department are investigating him. And his two co-conspirators were just arrested. So this is not that hard. But when he does get arrested, the question is, does he squeal? So he's a former prosecutor, so he knows how serious it is if you are in that kind of trouble and then you start lying to the prosecutors, right? And lying to the investigators. Tick, 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 tick. So will Rudy squeal? Can't wait. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.